Good evening, friends, and welcome to our nightly meditation practice. I'm actually getting an early start tonight. Feeling a bit tired, and I didn't want to be sleepy when it was time for meditation. Mostly because I want to do some meditation and some chanting tonight for my brother-in-law. My wife's sister's husband, we call him Unsao. So sister number 6, his husband. Maybe Yong Sao is the right word, but anyway. He's been pretty sick lately, and he doesn't have COVID, but after he got the COVID vaccine, he started doing very poorly, and he's been in the hospital twice. And he needs some blessings. So I want to do some Kwan Se Um Bosal chanting for him. And and then we'll devote our merit for meditation tonight to him and to his improvement in his health. But anyway, as we do each night, we will begin with the paying homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So again, thank you, friends, for joining me tonight. We'll get to the meditation part and the chanting part in a little bit. I wanted to share with you, as I've shared with you for the past 3 months now, that I've been taking this course on the Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment, or the Perfect Enlightenment. And I finished that class today because I finished my short-term paper for it. In most of the Buddha Dharma classes, a 3 to 5 page essay is probably the best way to put it, is required at the end of each course. And so I finished drafting my essay today, more or less about what I have learned through the course of studying the Perfect Enlightenment Sutra. So I'm going to share that with you and read it to you aloud. And I ask for your forbearance a little bit. It is in typical Zen fashion, a little irreverent at times, and the point of that, I hope, will come clear. It is it describes what I learned, and I think I did a pretty good job with describing it. Whether I did well on the paper or not for the class, I have a doctorate already, right? I don't need another degree. That's not the reason why I took the class, but I actually learned a lot out of the class. So the credit, non-credit part is not important to me. It never has been. But what I learned from it is very important to me, and I have put the effort into this class, and I've shared it with you along the way. So without further ado on that matter, I will share my final paper on this issue. All right, I'm going to skip the page so I can myself easily. All right, so the title of my essay is Dry Shit Stick, and you'll see why in a little bit. Like a Zen master wielding a good koan as a wrecking ball to destroy a student's unenlightened convictions and beliefs. The Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment rocked the foundation of my previously held notions of Buddhism and the Dharma. From the moment I read the first pages of Charles Muller's introduction to his translation of the sutra, I was left asking myself how much faith I was supposed to place in a clearly apocryphal text that blatantly claims to be something it is not, the actual words of Shakyamuni Buddha. I knew from Muller's introduction that the sutra was written to provide soteriological and primary text support for a burgeoning Chan school in 8th century China. But what I had not realized before this course was how much of a role Taoism played in the formation of Chan. The more of the sutra I read, the more I muttered, that's not Buddhism. And yet still I endeavored to keep a not knowing mind and to decipher for myself what truths lie herein. Wrecking ball, do your work. Musavada veramani sikapadam samadhiyami. In the fourth precept, Buddhists undertake the training rule to abstain from false speech. Thus began my psychological battle with the Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment. Someone, and I was pretty sure it was not a chap named Bodhichitta, was falsely telling me these were the words of the Buddha, and it sounded nothing like the Buddha that I had ever studied. I read the entire sutra, and never once did I find a mentioning of the Four Noble Truths. Where was the Noble Eightfold Path, or the 12 links of dependent origination? Where was the discussion of the seven enlightenment factors, or the four foundations of mindfulness? I was clearly turned upside down, for this sutra was foreign to me and defied all previous notions I had of enlightenment, liberation, and nirvana. The Zen master and this Chan wrecking crew were at work on my mind, and I was struggling to make sense of it all. After all, what Buddhist teacher teaches that ultimately there is no samsara and no nirvana? The teachings of the Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment, oops, boy, I made a mistake on that, didn't I? Place me in role of the monk. Place me in, I should have said, the role of the monk asking Master Yunmen, if there is no samsara and no nirvana, then what is Buddha? To my disbelieving face, Yunmen, or here, the Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment, answers, dry shit stick. It's like polishing a mirror. When filth is gone, its brightness naturally appears. Illusions? Mirrors? Where have I read these analogies before? These references to a polishing a mirror appear 4 times in the Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment. As I dwelt on the matter and continued reading, it became clear to me that many of the underlying teachings of the sutra, though disguised in Buddhist terms and symbols, were actually Taoist concepts that had existed in China for centuries before the founding of Chan. Lao Tzu had asked, can you polish the dark enigma mirror to a clarity beyond stain? The 6th patriarch of Chan, Huineng, also famously wrote about polishing. The dots were all being connected. Indeed, it was finally starting to make sense to me. The sutra was teaching me how to use Buddhist meditation techniques of samatha, samapatti, and jhana to cultivate the Tao. Those unnamed authors of the sutra were skillfully using the name and form of Buddhist language and meditation as a vehicle to teach Taoist enlightenment. Buddha Gautama never taught that there was no samsara and no nirvana. Non-dualism was not limitless in the teachings of the historical Buddha. There was always wholesome and unwholesome, good and evil, happiness and suffering, wisdom and ignorance, samsara and nirvana. But Taoism, on the other hand, taught that non-duality extends to all phenomena, dharmas, and here was the ultimate teaching of the Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment. Stated clearly in chapter 3, good sons, these bodhisattvas and sentient beings of the degenerate age who cultivate this mind and are able to fully consummate it have neither cultivation nor consummation. Their perfect enlightenment illuminates everywhere and is perfectly still without duality. The Chan teachings of no self expressed in chapter 10 of the Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment are again not unlike those taught in the Dharma. If you aren't free of yourself, how will you ever become yourself? As the sutra clearly espouses the concept of Tathagata Garbha, or Buddha nature, The Taoist and Chan similarities about severing the love of self are completely harmonious. It is exactly because these sentient beings do not sever their love of self that they are unable to enter pure enlightenment. Indeed, the connection to original nature was expressed in the Tao. The way, as expressed in the Tao, the way is unmistakable. And in accomplishing the way, there is nothing attained. That's because the original nature is complete, perfect. In my own awakening to the role of Taoism and formulating the Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment, I came to more fully understand what David Hinton meant when he wrote, Chan is primarily interested in Shakyamuni at the deep level of his essential nature, that open space of consciousness he cultivated through meditation under the Bodhi tree. So for Chan, Buddha is most essentially the empty mind that remains once we finish asking what Buddha is, emphasized in the terms Buddha mind and Buddha nature, synonymous with Taoism's empty mind and original nature. Thus, in wisdom, the Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment teaches the reader how to awaken to our original nature, our Buddha nature. It teaches us that meditation is the key to losing one's love of self and seeing through the illusions created out of desire, grasping, and attachment. Maybe there really are some clues here for how one can break the chain of dependent origination and end the cyclic causes of suffering. The words of Thich Nhat Hanh ring more true now than they did when I started the course. We should not be caught in the idea of whether such and such sutra was truly spoken directly by the Buddha or one of his disciples. If a disciple of the Buddha practices this well-known sutra. With the destruction of my own dualistic thinking that this is or is not Buddhism, I have come to realize that there are great lessons in the Perfect Enlightenment Sutra. Lose yourself in meditation. Maybe it's just 3 pounds of flax. Cuts! I see there are a few things there I need to some grammatical issues that I had. But that's my final exam. That was something you enjoyed, something you got a little bit out of from drafted. Anyway, I think at this time, because my mind will not let me concentrate, I'm going to take a little break and I'm going to come back in a moment after I correct those in that document with a few corrections, and then we'll do some chanting, etc. So I think the best way for me to do this is I'm actually going to turn on some chanting right now. We'll let the chanting run in the background for me while I finish fixing that. So I think that's what I will do. So let's listen to some Hei Tongnim chanting to Guanyin. And we will dedicate this to my brother-in-law, Ansao. And then I can fix those other parts. So...
파드 선지가 사바하 부글진원 오무루루 사이 사바하 오무루루 사이야 묵게 사바하 오무루루 사이야 묵게 사바하 부양진원 삼마라 삼마미만나 자르마하자 그라바라움 삼마라 삼마라 미만나 자르마 자그라바라움 무마라 삼마라 미만나 수지 대수가 음진 어공가량 둥가게 무능진솔 불공 관세음보살 법장진어노 마루느께 사바하 마루느께 사바하 마루느께 사바하 원성치진어놈 아무카 살바다라 사다야 시베음 우마무카 살바다라 사다야 시베음 마무카 살바다라 사다야 시베음 불솔수제길상다라니 나무삼만다 무타나 마바라지야다 사사다남다야타 옴카카카이에 카이에 옴옴 아바라 아바라 바라 아바라 바라 바라 지타 지타 지리지 파드 파드 선지가 시리에 사바나무 삼만다 무타나 마바라지야다사 사다남다나타 카카카에 카에 옴옴 마바라 아바라 바라 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 지타 지타 지리지 파드 파드 선지가 시리에 사바나무 삼만다 무타나 마바라지야다사 사다남다나타 카카카에 카에 옴옴 마바라 아바라 바라 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 지타 지타 지리지 파드 파드 선디가 시리에 사바하 보걸진어로로 사야 묵게 사바하 오무로로 사야 묵게 사바하 오무로로 사야 묵게 사바하 보양진어놈 삼마라 삼마라 미만나 자르마자 그라바라옴 삼마라 삼마라 미만나 자르마 자그라바라옴 삼마라 삼마라 미만나 자르마 자그라바라옴 절친실령가수지 대중수가 음진 어공가량 풍각에 문흥진솔 불공 덩
Boy, I've said this several nights in a row, but I hope you guys enjoy that as much as I do. I think it's just wonderful chanting. And in this case, chanting to Avalokiteshvara or Guanyin, who is the Bodhisattva of compassion. And I ask that those blessings and merit go to Yung Sao, that he can speedily recover, and that those blessings of Kwan Se Um Bosal, Guan Te Hum in Vietnamese, can bless him and his family. So with that, we will do some silent meditation. And I do appreciate you guys letting me play that. It allowed me to resubmit my essay with a few corrections there that I saw when I was reading it to you. But more importantly was to have that Kwan Se Um Bosal chanting in the background. That to me was just wonderful. So we will begin our silent meditation now at this time. Thank you for meditating with me. And now at this time, I will dedicate merit to Yung Sao. I wish that all this merit be extended to everyone, that we together with all beings may realize the Buddha way. I wish that all this merit be extended to everyone, that we together with all beings may realize the Buddha way. I wish that all this merit be extended to everyone, that we together with all beings may realize the Buddha way. And finally, as we do each night, we will end with the reading of the Bodhichitta prayer. So if you'll just let me get to the right page there. Okay. The Bodhichitta prayer. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. Again, thank you very much for meditating with me tonight and in allowing me to dedicate some of the merit from tonight's practice to my brother-in-law, Yung Sao. So, yeah, thank you guys, and I hope you have a good evening. Good night.